days you didn't have professional fire companies. You had volunteers who were sort of viewed as community heroes who gave, risked their lives to preserve the community. And fire was a lot bigger threat than it is now. So they really were risking their lives. So the firemen were sort of revered. That too is interesting because of the fact that you see the fire engine is carved in stone on it. The Jefferson Fire Company built themselves a nice too. They also surrounded it by a cast iron fence. And there's no religious or superstitious reason for the fence. It's just people like ironwork, and so they did it as decoration. It wasn't keeping any spirits in or out or anything like that. In this particular tomb, you don't see many names on it. It depended on the rules of the society whether the names were on it or whether the society just kept a list of who was buried in it. And with the fire company tombs, it tended to be just the men who were the firemen as opposed to their whole family. It was whatever rules the society created as far as use. Over here is the Lafayette Hook and Ladder. That's the fire department for this particular city. And obviously, they didn't expend as much money as Jefferson did. A far less elaborate city.
How do you find out who's in this thing?
Well,
is there a record, public record somewhere?
The burial societies no longer exist, but the city has a record of the internment. One of the problems in city cemeteries is some of the records, they hadn't computerized them, and some of the records got lost during Katrina because of flooding. But not all of them. So mainly the city would have the record now. In this cemetery and a couple others, some of the old records, they have copies at the museum and some at the Historic New Orleans collection, so they have like dual copies. But anytime you do a burial, the city had a log book that they wrote down who they buried today. What they lost was their alphabetical book. They have theirs by the date book. So it makes it really hard. You need to know when the person died, not just their name, which a lot of people know the name, but they don't know the date of death. The archdiocese used to keep index cards. And if you went to bury someone, they opened the drawer, pulled out an index card, and somebody wrote their name on it, because I've seen the index card for our tomb. And there's different handwriting for every entry, and it goes back to 1860. And I think my grandmother was buried in 1985. So, just little, they have the names and the dates of birth and death. They've computerized their records now, which is what I think the city is attempting to do, which they seem to have some technological problems, so I don't know how many